Hey there, and welcome back to the Parenthood and Relationship Podcast. Today, like any other day, we're looking at what is real, because that, in my opinion at least, is what brings healing. Because even when it's messy, that is the beginning of healing. Do you ever look around in your home and think, we're in the same bed, but it feels like we're on different planets? You may be sharing the toothpaste. You may be teaming up for bath time, keeping the fridge stocked, being in the group chat with the teacher in order to keep updated. But somehow, you may still feel alone. You may feel that this shared life is quite lonely, and maybe you haven't even said it out loud yet, not even to yourself. But somewhere deep down is a question that is growing louder. Where did we go? Not he, not she, not I, we. So today, I want to name this quiet distance, that subtle emotional drift that doesn't scream, doesn't fight, doesn't blow up. It just slowly seeps in until one day you realize it's been weeks since you truly saw each other. Let's talk about it. And let's do it without shame, because this isn't about who's at fault. It's about what we've never been taught to see, to value, to understand. Emotional drift is not the same as resentment. It's not the same as neglect either, and it doesn't have to be dramatic. It's not even loud. It's a moment that you realize that all the conversations are about who's doing what. It's when your partner brushes your hand. It's about when your partner brushes your hand in the kitchen and you flinch. Not because you don't love them, but because your body is no longer used to the softness. It's eye contact that doesn't linger, kisses that don't land, smiles that don't fully reach. It is that kind of quiet grief of being with someone but no longer feeling like you're with them. Now, this is important. That drift doesn't mean that the love is gone, because usually that's the reading that we have on it. Instead, it means that your nervous systems are fried, that both people in this couple are exhausted, dysregulated. That both people in this relationship are depleted, dysregulated, and trying not to drown. And when that's the case, we stop reaching, we stop seeing, we stop bidding for connection. Let me explain that a little bit. The Gottman Institute, which has studies upon studies on couples for over 40 years, that's what they've been doing. They're experts at this. They talk about bids of connection. These bids are tiny moments where a partner tries to connect with another. Let me explain what that means. The Gottman Institute, which has studied couples for over 40 years, talks about bids for connection. These are tiny moments where one partner is trying to connect. Maybe like saying, "Oh, come look at this video. This reel is so funny." Or guess what happened at work? Or even, ugh, I'm so tired. And what their research shows is that when partners respond to each other's bids, and when that's done at about 86% of the time, their relationships thrive. But when those bids are missed or ignored or dismissed, the relationship quietly starts to die. And in parenthood, those bids drop dramatically. Not because we don't love each other or we don't want to try, but because we're overextended, overstimulated, overtouched, and, if we're honest, often on edge. Now let's talk about what this feels like. On the inside, especially for you, especially for the mom in the relationship. Let's focus on moms today. You will feel like, I carry all the family's mental load and I still have to ask for help. I've heard a lot of women say, he's in the room, but I feel invisible unless I'm needed for something. Unfortunately, many say, I feel so lonely, I can't even explain how or why. And what makes it worse is that it remains internalized. We often think, maybe I'm the one who changed. Maybe I'm being too emotional, too sensitive, too needy. No, you are just tired of doing the invisible work and holding it all together, hoping that someone notices and feeling like no one does. You are craving tenderness, not a solution. Presence, not perfection. A partner, not just a co-parent. And if you're a dad listening, please stay, because what I just described isn't an accusation, and it also isn't always obvious to you. You may be listening and thinking, I'm doing my best. What more can I do? And I'm with you. You may also be feeling unseen, because emotional drift doesn't play favorites. It makes both people feel like they're falling silently. It makes both people like they're failing silently, side by side. I want to say this clearly. The emotional drift between couples in early parenthood is not a sign of incompatibility, even though that's what we assign it to. It's actually a predictable outcome of chronic stress, identity shifts, cultural scripts that place all the emotional labor on moms, and a lack of nervous system safety. After birth, a woman's brain literally rewires permanently. Her amygdala, the brain's threat detector, becomes more active, making her more vigilant, more reactive, more emotionally attuned, but also more easily overwhelmed. Meanwhile, you, the dad, her partner, you may feel helpless. You may feel unsure of how to support her, unsure about how to navigate all these changes, thinking there must be something wrong if this is all going on. Because we don't hear about this thing called matrescence and patrescence, where moms and dads, where men and women, where women and men change, their identity changes, their whole life changes because of becoming parents. So you as the partner, the dad, the husband, you may feel uncertain of how to support her. And because we don't have a cultural script for what fatherhood looks like, You as the dad may often disappear from the emotional narrative altogether, even in your own home. So what happens? Well, the wife, you, she becomes the project manager. He becomes the assistant. And then both become resentful, yet both are silent. Here is the part where I may disappoint. Here is the part where I might say something that not a lot of people say. Everyone says, well, just communicate more. But when you are emotionally maxed out, talking can feel more like a demand, not a release, but pressure. You don't need a 2-hour conversation and a whiteboard in order to find your way back to each other. What you do need are moments of realness. A sentence, a gesture, one breath, because safety comes before solutions, before I can ever listen to you. So, where do you start when everything begins to feel a little distant, but not quite broken, which is a good thing? Let's make this simple. You don't need a 3-hour heart-to-heart or a grand gesture. What you need are micro moments, tiny shifts in the way that you show up. These will change the emotional temperature between the two of you. And the point is for them not to be pressure points. The point is that they are invitations that you can try, you can adapt, or you can even just let them sit with you right now as you listen to them. The first one is the first invitation is to name it without blame or drama. What does it mean? Well, what do I mean by it? I mean the feeling, the grievance, the need, the yearning. It may sound like this: I miss us. I feel like we're amazing teammates, but I miss being lovers too. Hey, look, I'm not looking for this big conversation. I just want to feel closer again. Now, these are not complaints. They are offers of vulnerability. When you lead with softness instead of accusation, you create a space where your partner doesn't have to get defensive. They don't feel threatened, so they don't have to try to. These are not complaints. They are offers of vulnerability, bids for connection. When you lead with softness instead of accusation, you create a space where your partner doesn't have to get defensive in order to feel safe, because they don't feel threatened. And here's the key. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Say it while the pasta is boiling. Say it while you're walking the stroller together. Say it while you're out on a walk with your baby. Say it while walking the stroller. Say it while folding the laundry. Small truths, gently spoken, shift the atmosphere. The second suggestion small truths that are gently spoken shift the atmosphere. The second nudge is to regulate before you relate. Let's say you've carved out time to talk. The baby is asleep, the house is miraculously quiet, but your heart is racing. You're still holding the tension of the day. Your voice, therefore, may be sharp, even though you don't mean it to be. So before you speak, pause. Touch something cold. Take 3 slow breaths, exhaling longer than you inhale. You can maybe even stretch out your fingers or your jaw. This isn't mindfulness for mindfulness' sake. This isn't mindfulness for mindfulness' sake. This is nervous system alignment. Because if your body is braced for battle, your words will come out like weapons. Even if you've practiced, even if all you wanted was closeness. So regulate your body before Therefore, regulating your body before trying to relate with your partner is actually one of the greatest relationship skills one can have. It's the difference between being heard and being pushed away. The third is reconnection micromoves. My third invitation is that you use micromoves in order to reconnect. Forget date night. Forget deep talks. Let's go even smaller. Try a 6-second hug before bed. Not a quick pat, a real pause. Let the silence speak. Sit near each other, not across, while folding the laundry. Let your bodies relearn to be side by side, relearn presence. Leave a voice note. Maybe leave a voice note during the day that simply says, "One thing I love about you right now is," and then fill in the sentence. Even if you don't feel super in love at the moment, even if something inside of you says, "What's the point?" These small moments disrupt the autopilot of emotional distance, because connection doesn't happen in this single breakthrough conversation the way that we think it will. It happens in micro moments of warmth, repeated enough times to rebuild safety. And here is what I want to say, especially to the dads listening. If you are sitting there thinking, "I want to get this right, but I don't know how," don't worry. This is still a beginning. That is awareness. It's humility. And it's a very good sign. And that is why I created something for you. And that is why I created something for you. It's the Reconnection Roadmap with 7 simple but powerful steps to reawaken admiration, closeness, and appreciation in your relationship without long talks or therapy lingo. You can download it at markelakaplani.com/reconnect. And if you are a woman listening, to you, the moms, you don't have to be the relationship translator. But if this episode resonated for you and you think, maybe he just doesn't know what to do, you could send this episode You could share this episode with him, or you can download the roadmap and send it over. But if this episode resonated with you and it got you thinking, hey, maybe he is well-intentioned. Maybe he just doesn't know how to do it. Then share this episode with your partner. Download the roadmap and send it over to him. It can actually be a gentle lifeline. Not because there's something broken between the two of you, but because love after parenthood is a whole new game. And so, we need new tools. Well, let's address the elephant in the room now. You might think of Having said all that, I do want to address the elephant in the room. You might hear all this and think, okay, well, we're not perfect, but we're managing. Is it really that urgent? Here's the thing. Maybe you're right, but disconnection doesn't start with a betrayal. We're not looking for some awful incident in your relationship that has left you feeling And you know what? You're right. But disconnection doesn't start with betrayal. It starts with slow forgetting. Forgetting how you used to laugh or what it felt like to be on the same team. Not just in the same schedule. Forgetting how it felt to be wanted, not just needed. It's easy in the chaos and the routine to normalize the quiet, to tell yourself, we're just in a busy season. This is what having kids is like. But seasons can turn into years, and before you know it, you're just coexisting, not co-creating. And your kids, they're watching more. And the kids, they're watching more than we realize. And they're learning what love looks like. And they're learning what love looks like by watching you with each other. And they're learning what love's... Oh my fucking God. And they're learning what love looks like by watching you reach for each other or avoid each other. They learn what conflict looks like. They learn what conflict looks like by watching you repair or not. They learn what safety feels like by how safe you feel with each other. So this all matters not just for you. It matters for the emotional blueprint that you're passing down. And here's something real. You can't show your child what closeness looks like if you're too ashamed to admit that you have lost it. There is nothing weak about wanting more love, more softness, more joy in your home. There is nothing wrong with being the first to say, I miss us. This is what generational repair looks like. Just two people willing to look at each other again and try. Even if your voices shake, even if it's messy, even if it takes time. So if you've been feeling like roommates in the same bed, you're not alone. You're not failing. You're just missing each other. And that can be repaired. Start with one real moment, one softened gaze, one pause. If you're a dad and you've never had the words to say all of this, well, now you do. If you're a mom and you're tired of holding it all together, doing all the emotional labor, I see you. If you're a couple who has grown to be If you're a couple who's grown to be incredible parents, but feels like strangers in the hallway, I promise you, you're not the only ones. This podcast isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's about making space for what is real and rebuilding from there. I invite you to come back next week where we go deeper into what it means to become a father in a world that rarely lets men feel. And if you need support remembering each other and remembering yourself, every Sunday I send a love note out there called the Sunday Reconnect. It's one insight, one tool, one 3-minute reset ritual to help you feel close. And one 3-minute... And if you want support remembering each other and remembering yourself, every Sunday I send a small love letter. It's called the Sunday Reconnect. It includes one insight, one exclusive tool, and one 3-minute ritual to help you feel close to yourself and to each other. You can sign up for that. You can sign up for that at markelakaplani.com/newsletter. I would love to have you there. Until then, keep listening to the quiet parts. They're often where the truth lives. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.